Hello and welcome to episode 11 of Touchline Talk with Odds Changer, where we will be discussing all the latest news and gossip from the Premier League, EFL and the rest of the world. As usual, I'm joined by football broadcaster, writer and general man in the know, Dean Jones, to dissect all the latest news and whispers on the football grapevine. Morning, Dean. Just 2 weeks left in this transfer window, and so far there's not been a lot of movement into the Premier League. It's more players out of the Premier League, but surely things will start gathering pace now.
Yeah, I think that this was always going to be the case. We knew that it wasn't going to be a mad transfer window anyway. The last week is when it's really going to get good. So now we can start to ramp up towards that, I think. Clubs starting to make some headway on the kind of deals that they want. And also obviously need to offload some of those fringe players that have been around the squad, and that's starting to happen now at a few places. So yeah, I think it's definitely time to get a bit more active, let's say.
Yeah. One player who left the Premier League last January and could be returning this January is Christian Eriksen. Rumours of a return to Spurs are gathering pace, and it seems this one has got legs in it, Dean. He obviously was an unused substitute in the Derby d'Italia against Juventus on Sunday, but it hasn't worked out for him, this move, since he went to Inter Milan when he sought that move away from Tottenham last January. And do you think this could be the perfect reunion, Eriksen going back to Spurs?
I mean, it depends how he feels about it, really, because, I mean, anyone that saw the Amazon documentary and how keen he was to get out of the club could see how difficult that would be to go back into a situation like that. I think that anyone who's left a job before in any walk of life and then has gone somewhere else and not quite enjoyed it as much as they thought they would and been tempted to go back has always got that thing in the back of their head, like, oh, what am I going to look like to the other people there? And what am I, is my career going to go backwards? And where am I going to fit in? But the case with Eriksen is, Daniel Levy never wanted him to leave. Jose Mourinho always wanted him to stay. And he'd get games in this squad. So I think that there's definitely a situation there that's potentially opening for him. As it stands right now, I'm told that Tottenham are not in a situation where they're imminently ready to sign players. So I think that this is one that will go to that last week of the window, maybe even last day, who knows? But I don't think this is going to be resolved quickly with Eriksen. But it has potential. Look, Eriksen would definitely come back to the Premier League. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And if he wants to find a place where at least he'd fit in with the style of play and get going again, there are definitely positives to going back to Tottenham.
Yeah, Tottenham 6-4 favourites to re-sign Eriksen this month, with PSG now out to 5-2, who were leading the chase for most of the transfer window, with Mauricio Pochettino obviously in there. But like you said, Dean, Eriksen wants to go and play football. Spurs fans have been crying out for a creative midfielder for the club to sign this month. Eriksen could fit that bill. But like you said, Dean, they always say never go back. But with Spurs in this title race, do you think Eriksen could maybe be the final piece in the jigsaw?
Yeah, I mean, he probably didn't envisage that this was going to be happening. Let's put it that way. I'm not sure Tottenham are in the title race, but they're certainly in there competing for the top four. They're in a domestic cup final. They're in a nice run of form results-wise. I think there's certainly reasons he could be tempted by it. And especially if Mourinho is keen on the idea, then I think that that's what you've got to look at. If you're moving halfway through a season, then it's got to be that the manager is driving the move to get you into whichever club you're going to go to. To know that Daniel Levy and Jose Mourinho are behind it is certainly interesting, but it won't be the only offer on the table for him.
No, yeah, I'm sure he'll have plenty of offers. And in the back of Eriksen's mind will be regular first-team football ahead of the Euros in the summer with Denmark as well. But yeah, if we're talking about Christian Eriksen possibly coming to Tottenham, it could be a case of one in and one out of Tottenham this month, with Dele Alli continuing to dominate the headlines on his future. Will he be on the move, or will he remain at Tottenham? Again, he wasn't in the matchday squad for Sunday's win at Sheffield United. It seems almost inevitable that Dele Alli's going to have to leave Tottenham this month, Dean. I think he isn't going to get into Jose Mourinho's first-team plans anytime soon. We have the PSG link with Mauricio Pochettino there. I think he's made Dele Alli his top target this month to try and bring in. Do you think this move is going to happen, or is it going to be another one last-minute job on probably the final day of the window?
It probably is going to drag on, yeah, but I think that it's probably going to have to happen, because you can't keep Dele Alli if Jose Mourinho's got no plans for him. Well, I don't see any point in doing that. I know that Daniel Levy loves Dele Alli. He's still, a year ago he thought he was turning into £100 million player, and now he's probably not half of that, to be honest. But he still knows he's on a contract there, and he can easily become a key player in the team. It's just not going to be under Jose Mourinho by the look of it. It's going to be very painful for Daniel Levy to see Dele Alli go out on loan and thrive under Mauricio Pochettino. But look, the alternative is he sits and rots and loses more value at Tottenham. So it's a tricky situation, but one which he's probably going to have to accept, that the player does need to move. And I think, he has a good relationship with Dele from what I've heard. And he understands from a personal point of view, like why Dele wants to go and how he feels about the situation. I don't think Dele's made or tried to hide the fact that he wants to go at this stage. There's just no way back from in this team. Doesn't seem to be anyway. Some players turn it around under Mourinho, but I don't think Dele is one of those that is going to turn it around short term and get back in the team this season. So I do think that it is in everybody's interest, actually, that this deal does happen, but I don't think it's going to happen in the next couple of days. Certainly this week, I know that PSG are going to try and address the issue further. There are talks planned with Tottenham, so let's see how it starts to play out.
Yeah, PSG 47 favourites to land Ali this month. From what I'm hearing, Leonardo, PSG sporting director, is in constant dialogue with Dele Alli's representatives. So it's obviously a deal PSG want to do. It's just going to be whether Tottenham will let him go out. Also hearing, I think it'll be a 6-month loan rather than an 18-month loan as well. After suggestions, that could be the case. But yeah, like you, Dean, I think this one's going to go right to the end of the window, and it's just going to be a bit of gamesmanship probably between Daniel Levy and the PSG board to try and get this done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the other way to look at it as well from Tottenham's point of view is they do want to bring in players this month, and Mourinho does want to really have a go at it. And what's the point of him having Dele Alli in that squad if he's not going to use him? They want to open up some space to get somebody else in, and this is an ideal opportunity to do that. So I just think it makes a lot of sense at this stage, and it could help all parties.
Yeah, a bit like the Mesut Ozil situation. I think a break for both parties would suit. So
yeah,
Tottenham can get on with what they're trying to achieve this season, and Dele Alli can try and get his career back on track, and a move should suit all. But yeah, that one we'll keep an eye on before the end of the window. Another deal that's been mooted for a long time now is, will Liverpool bring in a centre-back before this window closes? Obviously missing Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez, who are likely to miss the remainder of the season with these long-term injuries, and starting to feel affected now for Liverpool, the loss of those two centre-backs, dropping points in this title race right now, although their defence hasn't done so badly, keeping clean sheets in quite a few games. It just seems it's affected the overall shape of the team, Dean. And do you think Jurgen Klopp has to bite the bullet now, bring in a centre-half and maybe be allowing him to move Jordan Henderson back into midfield where he has been missed in the last 2 games?
Yeah, I'm not convinced they're going to be honest. I'm really not. They are still looking potentially at bringing people in, but as I said before, it's not going to be an Upamecano or a Koulibaly or somebody like that that's going to make an instant statement and improvement in the back line and allow whoever it is, Fabinho or Henderson, to get back into their positions. But they are looking at, emerging good players from around Europe, all of a similar type of player, to be honest, all of a similar age group, early 20s, composed, room for improvement, room to fit into a Klopp style of play. And it's certainly a position that they are going to look to strengthen, this year, but they want to get it absolutely right. And I think that there is some scepticism about whether this is the right moment to do it, because Virgil van Dijk is working on his rehab. They do still think there's a chance he'll be back before the end of the season. And they've done largely okay since he hasn't been there. Fabinho helped them massively in that department. Obviously, they've had other situations going wrong around the defence as well that haven't helped. So they've had to move more people around. But I have to admit, I'm not convinced totally that Liverpool do sign a centre-back. What about you?
Yeah, I'm not too sure either. Obviously, these financial costs of COVID has hit a lot of clubs, even big clubs like Liverpool. So, like you mentioned as well, Liverpool took their time to get their top target in Virgil van Dijk a few years ago. So I don't think they're going to panic right now. Obviously, it's the top end of the pitch that's affecting Liverpool right now, not scoring goals. Defensively, those players have come in and filled in. They've done okay. The likes of Reece Williams has done okay in defence. Jordan Henderson, again, obviously you miss his presence in midfield when he's gone into centre backs as well. But he's filled in and done an admirable job as well. And as we all know, in January you can't find your top targets, and the big clubs like the Liverpools who want to be competing for the biggest honours won't be able to get those top targets in January because the other clubs will not want to sell them as well. So I think Liverpool will ride it out, see how they go. But the sooner they can get Henderson back into midfield, I think would be a bonus for Jurgen Klopp's team. And just the main thing for Jurgen Klopp is they just can't trust Joel Matip to stay fit. That's been the big issue for them. So if he can stay fit, him and Fabinho look like a decent centre-back pairing. But yeah, I think probably Liverpool will bide their time and probably move in the summer for this big defensive target when Van Dijk is fully fit, and to find a partner for him, like Man City have brought in Ruben Diaz in the summer, and he's paid off handsomely for City right now as well. But yeah, as we said, Dean, quick question for you. How can you tell that the transfer window is open?
Go on.
Paul Pogba starting to play well. That's got to be it, surely. So I think, in all seriousness, no, Paul Pogba, he's probably established himself now in that Manchester United team. He's one of the first names on the team sheet when you couldn't have said that at the start of the season. He was in and out of the team, struggling for form. Obviously, all the speculation around his future as well was going on as well. We're in the transfer window. The constant links with Juventus are always there, but I don't think anything's going to happen in January. But how important do you think Pogba's becoming to United in this title bid?
I mean, he would have been really important if he'd have scored yesterday against Liverpool, because, you know, that was a huge moment when Alisson pulled off the save. And I think that, you know, Pogba, that was his real opportunity to really be remembered for the right reasons at United. And he just couldn't quite pull it off, but he certainly has been improving all the time. I have to say, I don't think he's ever going to play in front of Man United fans again. I don't see fans returning this season, and I don't see Pogba being there next season. So it's certainly one that you have to weigh up and think, well, why are we going to let him go right now and have to replace him when he clearly does fit, when you find the right system around him and give him the right role? But I think ultimately that if Pogba does find his form right now, then it gives him a better opportunity to make that move. And he won't want to risk going back to square one at United next season. It doesn't take a lot for him to lose the faith of the manager again, or the fans get on his back when they are back and he has a bad game. And he tried, and I think the fact he's still out there putting a good shift in is at least uplifting for United fans, and it means that he can leave on a good note. And I don't think anybody would hold it against him if he did decide to leave at the end of the season. Now, I think Juventus are coming in harder than I thought they would, to be honest, for him. I wasn't convinced that they would be in this race. I thought Real Madrid might have a free run at it, but I am hearing that Juve are continuing to look at ways to get Pogba in there. I think that they are going to look to get a couple of their own midfielders out, and I think that the situation of Aaron Ramsey might arise again in the summer, so that could be interesting if that spot opens up. But yeah, ultimately, I do think this is Pogba's last season in a Man United shirt. If he leaves with a Premier League title winners medal, then wow, that's all I can say. If that's how this ends, then wow.
But what about that? What if he wins the title with United? Would that not sort of boost his chances of staying at United? United wanting them to stay, maybe even him wanting to stay?
I think it might change United's stance on it and think, oh, he is good actually, isn't he? Yeah, let's keep him. But I think Pogba's mind's already made up, and I think that's why his agent's so active in, you know, looking to find a new club. I mean, when he's speaking a month or two ago, and it sounded like he was trying to find a club in January. It was never going to become possible because of the financial, you know, impact of COVID and stuff. But he's already working on what could happen in the summer. He's not stupid, and Pogba knows he's going to get a big payday at the end of this season. It's just a case of, is he heading to Italy or Spain?
Yeah, or maybe even PSG. There was talk of that.
Yeah,
as well.
Possibly. Yeah.
Mauricio Pochettino being an admirer of Pogba, so maybe going back to his native France could be on the agenda as well. But like you said, Dean, he had a very good spell at Juventus, and Juventus, I wouldn't say they're struggling this season, but they're not having it all their own way in Serie A this season, so they might end up relinquishing their title this year. So if that does happen, they will be looking to rebuild, and I think Pogba will be a big part of that rebuild.
Yeah, absolutely will. Yeah, I mean, they have struggled a bit, to be honest. Because they've been so inconsistent, and you know, Serie A is so tight right now. You look at the top 6 clubs, and you know, AC Milan have put themselves in with a great chance of winning it, and Inter are right up there as well. And Juve, there's absolutely a chance that they don't win the title this season. And as you say, if that happens, then one, the big questions will have to be asked of Pirlo in his first job in management. But secondly, how do we recruit going forward, and what does this club need to make sure that we're back among it when fans do return? And I guess that's what it really matters. That's what everybody wants to be really going is next season when football starts to return to normal.
Yeah, big few months ahead for Paul Pogba with Manchester United, but big few months maybe in the summer for Paul Pogba's future away from Old Trafford, possibly. So moving on then, we've got West Ham still on the striker hunt right now. Is Sebastian Haller. They've got money in their pocket to spend, and they've been linked with a host of names so far, Dean. The latest name in the frame is Sevilla forward Youssef En-Nesyri. Reports suggesting a bid has gone in to the Spanish club, which has been rejected, of £27 million. En-Nesyri's done all right at Sevilla. When I've seen him, he's got 4 goals, I think, this season in the Champions League, and recently scored a hat-trick against Real Sociedad in La Liga as well. Would he be the type of fit that would do well for West Ham in the Premier League if he was to come?
Yeah, I mean, they've looked at so many different types of forward, West Ham, as they always do. They weren't really prepared for Aller's exit. I think they were always open to offers, but I don't think they realised that Ajax were quite as far down the line with getting him as actually turned out to be. And so suddenly they are scratching around trying to find a good fit and trying to find out what David Moyes wants from a forward. And certainly it's one of the guys that seems to fit the bill, as this story's broken today. But I've spoken to people at West Ham over the last week, and that's certainly not the only deal that's ongoing right now. And Bouli Dia from French club Reims is definitely somebody that they're pursuing. This is typical West Ham. They never just have one deal in motion. They often have 2, maybe even 3 deals ongoing at the same time, seeing which one progresses the best. And I think that's probably the situation right now. I don't even think it's probably just those 2. I do think there is a third right now that's ongoing, and I think they just need to weigh up which option suits them the best. I mean, Bouli Diaz are available at like 10 million less than the offer that they're deemed to have made there. So, and they still haven't managed to agree terms there. As I understand it, talks are ongoing today, Monday, about whether they can make a breakthrough on Dia and what kind of terms will actually be needed personally, as well as any add-ons. So it'll be interesting to see whether they make a breakthrough there, because he's a highly coveted player, and I think that he would fit. Haven't seen as much of the Sevilla player, I have to say, but all the reports seem to suggest that he would fit better than Aller anyway. To be honest, you or me might have fitted in better for that team better than Sebastian Aller seemed to. But it'll be interesting to see who they do get, because, as I say, they weren't entirely sure they'd go and get a striker in this window, but now they kind of have to.
Yeah, having a good season as well, West Ham. So it's something to possibly build on. If they can get the right striker in to play alongside Mikel Antonio, it could be a real match for anybody on their day, West Ham. But like you said, Dean, excuse the pun, plenty of irons in the fire, I think, at West Ham for the striker hunt right now. The El-Nesyri, I'd be very surprised if Sevilla were to let him go. They're still in the Champions League as well, with the game against Borussia Dortmund next month. And I think he's figured in every La Liga and Champions League game for Sevilla this season. So it would take a big offer for them to consider selling him this month without a replacement lined up at least. But the one name I keep hearing is Patson Daka of Red Bull Salzburg. I think he's a name that's always been linked with West Ham. I think he's the type of profile that David Moyes would like. But again, top players with a lot of talent and a lot of competition for his signature if he is to become available. And Red Bull obviously don't really need the money. So this one, West Ham, will have plenty of options out there. They'll be signing out lots of strikers, and it'll all depend on price probably to see who they end up getting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's the case. And Daka, again, I don't think he's going to be cheap if they do manage to make progress on that deal. So that might be one that they have to wait for the summer. But you're right, he is definitely somebody that is on their radar for a long time.
Yeah. It's been quite a bit of movement in the EFL so far, Dean. Plenty of good transfers. I think Stoke have done some good business so far with Robbie Matondo, Jack Clark also coming in as well. Latest reports or rumours that I'm hearing is that Middlesbrough and Swansea are in for Aston Villa midfielder Conor Hourihane, who's obviously on the fringes of the team at Villa right now. A good player, Conor Hourihane, Republic of Ireland international. he's not going to get into that Villa team anytime soon, the way that they've been playing so far this season. Do you think he'd be a good fit for a Swansea or a Middlesbrough?
I think it's perfect, isn't it? I mean, if you're a side that's got big ambition in that Championship right now, and you want to be deemed to be at least trying to chase promotion, then that's the kind of deal that you need, and that kind of profile of player. That seems to make perfect sense. I've heard a few players linked with Middlesbrough, particularly in the last 2 weeks, and I think that they are certainly active in trying to find the right fit of player that can boost their season, because I think that they've got the core of a good squad there, and they just got a couple of pieces missing. And yeah, Hurahan would be a great addition.
Yeah, he got goals from midfield, and he's proven player in the Championship after helping Villa win promotion a couple of years ago as well. Don't know if you know much about this boy, Dean. Swansea close to signing USA international Jordan Morris from Seattle Sounders. Lots of good reports I've heard about this forward, that he could be a good addition for Swansea. I think that deal should be getting done this week. I think he's due to fly over 2 wheels to complete it. But Swansea sitting second in the table right now. If they can get Morris on board and possibly Hurahan, give them a real big opportunity of maybe winning promotion.
Jordan Morris is a really good player. Yeah, I've seen him play quite a few times for Seattle Sounders, and yeah, I mean, there's always that question mark of how players make that switch from America, and typically players have gone when they're a bit younger to Bundesliga recently and had quite a lot of success. But I say Morris is a bit more established, and but certainly he's got fantastic technique, and I would actually be quite confident that he would fit in well, to be honest. He's got a good mentality as well. So yeah, from what I've seen of Jordan Morris, I think Swansea in the profile of club would fit him. But then I thought Bob Bradley would do well at Swansea, and that didn't turn out very well. So at least he should hopefully do better than that.
Yeah, Swansea fans will be hoping for a lot better from their latest American arrival if he does end up at the Liberty Stadium this month. Dave, we're going to finish off. We spoke a couple of weeks ago about this, Neil Lennon's future at Celtic. The rumour mill has gone into overdrive up in Glasgow over the weekend. Eddie Howe is now odds-on favourite at 1-5 to replace Lennon at Celtic Park. Obviously, Celtic 21 points behind Rangers in the table. The league's gone. The dream of 10 in a row is over. It's just been a season to forget for Celtic, the whole Dubai trip, mishaps of everything that's going on there. I just think Celtic probably thinking now, do we start afresh now and from top to bottom? I think a lot of reports that there could be changes at boardroom as well, also on the recruitment side. But yeah, Neil Lennon just seems like a dead man walking right now. And rumours are suggesting that Eddie Howe could be in as early as this week. Have you heard anything on this?
I mean, it's been driven so strongly, and it just seems to gather pace all the time. And I hear something that will knock it down, but then I'll speak to somebody else. They'll be like, the thing is, he's available and he's of good caliber of manager. And, when you consider that he's up against, publicly anyway, people talk about Roy Keane or Martin O'Neill or Gordon Strachan. Eddie Howe is such a different prospect. And that's what seems to be one of the burning factors that is interesting Celtic, the way that he thinks about the game. And, he was largely successful at Bournemouth. I know that, there was some blips in there, but ultimately it was the culture of what he built. And that is what Celtic need right now. They need a whole rebuild. Season seems to have caught them out completely where Rangers have come from under Steven Gerrard. But if Gerrard's managing to do that at Rangers in what his first proper job in football management, then what can Eddie Howe do when he's got a good past under him of building a football club? So, yeah, I think it's a very strange one, because I have to say, I'll speak to some people and they knock it down, but others, it's like, no, you have to take this seriously now. And I know there's been a lot of betting on Eddie Howe over the past week. So there's clearly feeling around Glasgow that this is one that's growing.
Yeah, I think this one going to be an interesting watch, this one, the Eddie Howe situation. But I think for Celtic, they possibly see similarities with Brendan Rodgers, with Eddie, maybe style of football as well. Yeah. Obviously, Celtic fans haven't been happy with a lot of it under Neil Lennon. So rumour is suggesting that Eddie could possibly come in now, midway through the season, analyse the squad, assess what he needs, and then he can have a good crack ready for next season.
I think that's it. Yeah, I mean, at this stage, there almost seems nothing to lose for Celtic in appointing somebody like Eddie Howe, and it's certainly much better to give him a long build-up to next season in order to let this current squad know what's needed of them if they want to survive and be part of it. And if not, then he can start to rip up the team sheet and rebuild it over the summer and get in some players that will work for him properly. And obviously, he will draw on people that he's worked with at places, at Bournemouth particular. You know, there's players there. You know, even Josh King. I don't know. Maybe you could get a Josh King. It's going to cost you a lot of money, like in wages. But I don't know. Like there are certainly players around the club that he's worked with that would make a big impact in Scotland. And would thrive on the idea of, you know, being part of such a big club and bringing back success, because that's what it's going to be about at Celtic next season. As I say, when fans are back at stadiums next season, that added pressure, the added excitement is going to be huge. And I think that will be a massive draw to get players into a club like Celtic. And I think that's why they will be looking at somebody like Eddie Howe and what can he bring apart from the tactical nous and the experience. What players can he bring?
Yeah, I think it'll be a big experience for Eddie Howe as well to go to a big club. No disrespect to Bournemouth, though, going up to Celtic brings a lot different pressure than it did at Bournemouth. And the possibility of managing in Europe would be good to have on Eddie Howe's CV as well, whenever he does think, if he wants to come back down to England at some point and possibly manage a big club. I think European pedigree would help him in that respect as well. So this one seems to be gathering pace, the Eddie Howe situation, and we'll soon find out if Celtic do decide to go ahead and sack Neil Lennon and possibly replace him with Eddie Howe. Right, that's us for another week on Touchline Talk. We'll be back next week for more insight and gossip on the latest news on the Grapevine. Thank you.